In this video, we're going to get right into how bowing your left wrist in the downswing will, one, not only help you hit the ball further, but it'll also help you hit the ball straighter. So we're going to dive right into that and exactly why the top tour players do this exact move too. So I'm Jonathan Chown with JChownGolf. Let's get right into how this wrist movement works and how we can implement it into our game. So if there's one move we universally see loads of the top tour players perform, and that is they're moving their lead wrist into some sort of bowing or flexion in a downswing. It may be a lot or it may be just a little bit, but that is a move that is incredibly lacking in the amateur golfer. With the amateur golfer, we more see the opposite happening. We more see them moving their wrist into some sort of cupping and extension in the downswing. So why do the top players move their lead wrist into flexion or bowing in the downswing? And there's two reasons for that. One main reason is you can see as soon as, let's say I have a flat wrist here, as soon as I move into some bowing in the downswing, you're going to see how the shaft shallows out. So if you've watched my 3 ways to shallow the shaft video, that is one of them, bowing the left wrist. So we know bowing the left wrist will shallow the club. Shallowing the club incentivizes you to rotate through the golf ball. So we know, yep, shallows the club, but shallowing the club also has one slight downside to it, and that is it actually opens up the club face very slightly. So you can imagine for this second bit that it really helps with bowing this left wrist is it also strengthens the club face. As we know, going down, we know at the top of the backswing it makes the club face stronger, so if you're adding it in the downswing, it makes the club face stronger in the downswing. So it negates the open nature of shallowing the golf club in a downswing. So you can see exactly why tour players do it, is because it not only shallows the shaft, but it also squares the club face. So them two together, it will really cause you to continue to rotate, to keep yourself and keep that club face square going through impact. So we'll even see here with a little clip of Sungjae Im. And what Sungjae Im does, he gets up to the top of his backswing, and you can see from this clip, he's got a little bit of kind of like an extended cupped left wrist. But then as soon as he starts his downswing, he moves it into a little bit of flexion. And you can see from there that it's a really awesome little shallowing move for him. That gets that club to lie down. It also, you can see his club face being open and then kind of squaring, and then that incentivizes his body to really turn through there. And Sungjae is a really, really powerful hitter out on tour as well, and really, really accurate. So we can see that if we can manage to get this into our golf swing, it's going to really hit 2 birds with 1 stone. So for a lot of you guys hitting high right ones, this is going to be the perfect thing for you. So let's jump straight into a drill we can do, and then we can implement this move into our game. Now this drill is very, very simple. For this move, I feel like the simpler the feel is, the better. So all we need to be able to do this properly is we need a glove, and we also need, that's deep in my pocket, is a tee. Now what we're going to do here is we're just going to unzip our glove, put the Velcro back on, and just put the tee in between the Velcro and the leather of the glove, so you can see that the tee is pointing up and out. So we're going to get a brilliant visual here of what this left wrist is doing in the downswing. So if I just demonstrate it here a little bit, I get up to the top of my backswing. Let's say I have a flat wrist, for example. So if I've got a flat wrist here, you're going to see how this tee is pointing up and away. So as soon as I come down in the downswing now, and if I start flexing my left wrist, almost like turning my knuckles down towards the ground, which is also a great thought, you're going to see how that tee ends up pointing diagonally down towards the ground. If this tee is pointing away from us in this fashion, that's not what we want. So we're going to see this tee turn down, point down towards the ground, and that's the feeling we want. So how we would start off doing this is just hitting a few little shots where we're just feeling like this tee is pointing down, curling down towards the ground as we're getting into impact there. So you can also feel knuckles pointing down. So just a little one to start off with. And that will really give you a really nice kind of flexed left wrist going through the ball. You will almost feel like, if you've seen a few still shots of Bryson DeChambeau after impact, almost like this, where he's got that still extremely flexed left wrist. That will be the feel you would kind of want to go for, because that's ensuring you that you're keeping that wrist flex going through impact. So once you feel more comfortable, you would build up to a longer shot, just feeling like that tee is pointing down towards the ground in the downswing. So there's one really important thing we need to know for this, guys. Now I said vast majority of tour players do this move, but not all of them. And the ones who don't do it are the ones with really, really strong left-hand grips. So the only exception to that is Dustin Johnson, who has a strong left-hand grip and bows his left wrist, but he rotates like mad that I've never seen anyone ever get in that same position. So you can imagine here, if I've got a very, very strong left-hand grip and I get up to the top of my backswing, now let's say I start bowing that wrist. look how closed my club face is getting. So it's getting far too shut in there to be able to make that functional. We would have to have so much body rotation to make that work. It's really not a functional matchup at all. We need the grip to either be, you know, standard, so your 2.5 knuckles when you look down on it, or we could even have it slightly weak, like a John Rahm or a Jordan Spieth, like 1.5 knuckles. So that's when, you know, the actual closing element of, you know, flexing your left wrist won't negatively impact your shot. So as we can see, really simple type of drill to do there. All you need is a glove, you need a tee. You don't need, sometimes even need that tee. You can just think of your knuckles curling down towards the ground, or even the logo of the glove curling down towards the ground. You do that enough, you're going to be adding in that flexion in the downswing, just like the top tour players will, and you'll instantly hit the ball straighter and longer for it. So guys, if you like that video, click that like button, it helps me out a ton. And if you want more golf instruction just like this, click that subscribe button, hit the bell button too, to be notified every time I put out a video as well. So let's get that left wrist into some flexion, some bowing in the downswing, and you know, we're gonna hit a lot of birds with one stone with that one move.